Hi all! So today I want to talk to you about the revolving door problem we seem to have in society. Have you ever walked out of a doctor's office, a dentist's office, maybe even had a tradesperson over at your house and thought, well, hang on, can I actually trust what you're telling me because you actually profit from me? It seems to be that a lot of people have a hidden agenda. And don't get me wrong, there's great tradespeople out there and very professional people out there. You can't help but wonder, is what you're telling me actually true, or are you trying to increase your profits? So I want to dissect that concept today. Trust in systems where profit and advice are intertwined. We live in a time where many essential services, they aren't just services, they're actually businesses. Now, while I talk to you today, I'm actually going to be showing you the progress of our kitchen. Well, it's not our forever kitchen because our house burnt down. So currently we're just living in a caravan, but this is our makeshift kitchen and I got really sick of things falling down the back. So I kind of bit the bullet and decided I was going to put a splashback on here, and here it is in all its glory. When you sit down in a dentist chair, you trust that they are recommending what is necessary for your health. But dentists earn money from procedures. When you sit in a doctor's chair, you trust the prescription is truly clinical. But pharmaceutical systems, billing models, consultation structures, they all create financial incentives. When you hire a mechanic or a tradesperson, a plumber, a roofer, electrician, you trust their assessment of the problem. But the profit from the solution they recommend is not necessarily corruption, it's a structure where three things occur. 1, the advisor is also the seller. 2, the diagnosis is tied to revenue. And 3, the more that's done, the more that's earned. That's the revolving door. Tradespeople are in a unique position of power. You call a plumber because something's broken. You call a roofer because you're worried about leaks. You call an electrician because something feels unsafe. You are often stressed, vulnerable, often lacking the technical knowledge to challenge them. And here's the issue. You don't know if you need a $200 repair or a $4,000 replacement. You don't know whether the roof genuinely needs resheeting or just sealing. And increasingly, trade businesses are high-volume operations, booked out for weeks in advance, running multiple jobs a day. Reputation used to be the backbone of local businesses, built slowly through pride, community, and word of mouth. But today, many operations don't rely on repeat customers. They rely on demand. When demand exceeds supply, the incentive shifts. It's no longer, let me build a lifetime trust. It can become, how much can I invoice on this job? It's uncomfortable to say, but many of us have felt it. Healthcare is even more delicate. You only get one body, one set of teeth, and that's where my own experience really hit me. I had to attend my daughter's school dental van appointment. I mentioned to the dentist my dissatisfaction with a local dentist I had visited. I had been quoted thousands of dollars for procedures that I later questioned. I said to the dentist in the van, it's hard to know who to trust. And she agreed. She told me openly that there's only one dentist she trusts to work on her teeth, and it's a friend of hers who's also a dentist and lives in Melbourne. In fact, she flies from Queensland down to Victoria to have her dental work done. Think about that. A dentist, someone inside the profession, feels the need to fly interstate to ensure she trusts the advice she's getting. That is crazy. To think we don't have a good volume of tradespeople and professionals we can trust? Most professionals are not villains and they don't want to do the wrong thing, but they operate inside systems, and the systems are built around billing codes, procedure fees, insurance structures, pharmaceutical partnerships, and volume-based income. If a clinic is booked out for weeks, if they're not taking new patients, if demand is endless, the urgency to nurture long-term trust can weaken. Not always, but sometimes. When you're one of 100 clients, the focus can subtly shift. And you try to do your due diligence. You check online reviews, but even reviews are complicated now. They can be cherry-picked, incentivized, discount-driven, and strategically managed. You don't always know what's genuine, which leaves many people relying on the oldest systems of all, word of mouth. a friend, a relative, someone who has nothing to gain from recommending a person because trust is transferable. I'm trying hard not to sound bitter. I've had wonderful doctors, skilled, thoughtful tradespeople, dentists who clearly cared. They exist. I guess that's the reason why I love small community. I feel like our local tradespeople, plumbers, doctors, electricians, they still pride themselves on their reputation, and they know that word of mouth is very powerful. And maybe that's the problem. We've become so centralised now. We need to go back to small communities. We need decentralised systems. It wasn't that long ago that all tradespeople and professionals prided themselves on their craftsmanship and their reputation. Righto, well, another thing I'm sick of after 5 months living here is the concrete floors. Now, they're definitely pretty stained and whatnot, but the most annoying thing is they're very porous. So when something falls on them, especially when we're in the kitchen, it's very hard to mop it up. We also have dogs, so the dogs are in and out of here in the muddy ponds and paddocks, and then they come in here, and it's extremely hard to clean the floor because it's so chalky and porous. So I'm going to seal these floors so that it's easy to clean, basically. First thing I have to do is wash them. Then I'm going to have to use some hydrochloric acid to make them grippy. I suppose you could use a grinder or something like a wire brush, but I don't really want to do that. So we have hydrochloric acid already. I'm going to use that. And then once it's completely dry, I will put the sealer down. So where were we? Yes, tradespeople and how they used to pride themselves on doing a good job. Well, this is how they received more revenue through getting more business, which was generated through doing a good job. But then came along systems which allowed monetary incentives, and thus we have this problem. Now, in many high-demand areas, the revenue comes first because it can. That's the systematic shift. Not always malicious, but structurally powerful. So what can we do about it? We can't dismantle entire systems overnight, but we can seek second opinions or third opinions. We can ask detailed questions. We can request written quotes and breakdowns. We can lean on trusted recommendations, and we can be slow with decisions when possible. Yes, it takes more time, more money up front, but clarity is worth something. So one of the best methods to use is actually social media, jumping on your local community page and just asking, hey, who's a good plumber? Hey, who can you recommend for a haircut, etc. I've seen a lot of people doing this and they seem to have a lot of success. My final thought is the conversation isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Blind trust is outdated. Informed trust is necessary, and maybe, just maybe, the more we talk about these things openly, the more we encourage a shift back towards integrity, reputation, and genuine care. Because most professionals entered their field to help people. The system may be complex, but awareness is how change begins. Let me know, do you trust tradespeople? Have you had bad experiences? What are your solutions to this complex revolving door? Perhaps we need some sort of quality control, like an inspector who can check a job before you pay the invoice. So if it isn't worthy of then the payment, meeting codes, etc., then the invoice shouldn't be paid until it is. But how long before those guys are then led by money? Well, that's it for now, so I'll see you next week.